Hey guys, we are Sean and Christy. This is Long Long Honeymoon coming at you today with a fantastic topic, our top 18 places to enjoy your RV. And with this video, we're launching a new chat series or vodcast here called Rollin' Conversations.
Long, long honeymoon, we let the talk flow. Rolling conversation, we pull along.
This will be sort of a video podcast, long-form conversations talking about all sorts of topics related to RV travel and stuff we've learned over the years. So today, we're going to look back on almost 2 decades of RV travel and tell you all about our 18 favorite places to enjoy our Airstream travel trailer, ranked from worst to best, or least favorite to most favorite.
There are lots of different kinds of places that you can take your RV, and that's what we're going to talk about today.
Number 18 on this list, our least favorite place to enjoy our RV would be truck stops and rest areas. We're lumping these two locations together as one category for one primary reason: the word truck. No offense to you truckers out there. We love truckers. My father is a trucker. And we know that you truckers need to use these particular locations because you're searching for places to park your truck. You're tired, you're working, you need a safe place to park.
Yes. And I would say it's because these places are overrun with trucks, as they should be, that it makes it a less pleasant experience to spend the night in your RV because it's typically really, really loud. You typically have, lots of big semi-trucks running their engines overnight. It makes it pretty loud. It makes it pretty crowded. Some of these areas are not in the best parts of town, so sometimes safety is a concern. So yeah, that's what makes it our least favorite.
Yeah, and those, to be fair, are two different types of places because some rest areas can be pretty nice, but most of the ones that are located close to interstate highways are going to be very busy with trucks parking overnight. And ironically, you will not get a lot of rest in a rest area if you're in an RV. Trust us from experience. All right, number 17 on this list.
Casino parking lots. Ooh. Now, if you are somebody that is a casino junkie, these might be great for you, but we don't really gamble. It's not our thing. Sometimes you're just basically in a parking lot with regular vehicles, which can be slightly awkward because they're sort of like wandering around like, what are you doing here? Sometimes you have to deal with security people, get clearance from them. It can sometimes be in a not great part of town.
We've had some fun experiences at casinos. I will point out that some casinos do have dedicated RV campgrounds, and that's a little bit different than what we're talking about here.
For sure.
The one really fond memory I have from staying in casinos would be the cheap lunches when you can go in and get a lobster and steak for $9.99. I don't know. Those days may be over
I think those days are probably over. And some casinos that we've encountered in the last couple of years are now charging you to spend the night in their parking lot. Even if you have no hookups, nothing, they're still charging you $20 or $30 to park there overnight. So it's just not worth it to us overall.
So we rarely roll the dice on casino parking lots. Number 16, roadside pullouts. And I'm talking about those places, big stretches of asphalt along the side of highways that you'll find throughout North America. This is especially true if you're taking your RV up to Alaska on the Alaska Highway. Sometimes these roadside pullouts can be very scenic. Oftentimes, they're not very attractive because of proximity to the highway. We've found a few.
There are a couple we stayed at in Alaska that were just breathtakingly beautiful. And of course, those were amazing experiences. But sometimes it's your best option when you're somewhere like Alaska or along the Alaska Highway in British Columbia or the Yukon Territory. But sometimes it's also very nerve-wracking because you're close to the road. It's kind of dangerous. Just because if somebody wasn't paying attention and they veered off the road, they might hit your RV or something. So I don't sleep very well in those situations.
I think there are also greater security risks when somebody can make a quick getaway.
Yeah.
Frankly, somebody could be flying along the highway, stop, engage in criminal behavior, and then hop in the getaway car and get away really quickly. And that also, to a degree, applies to rest areas that we discussed previously.
Absolutely.
So that's why roadside pullouts ranks so low on this list. Number 15 on our list of our favorite places to camp would be
chain campgrounds. And I know some people are going to be really mad that this is so low on our list, but a lot of chain campgrounds just are going after a different market than us.
And
we
explain
usually,
what we mean by chain campgrounds. We're talking about places like a KOA. Sorry,
Yogi
KOA
Bear,
fans.
Yogi Bear campgrounds, places like that. I think those campgrounds, for the most part, are really appealing to people with families, young kids. You have a lot of kids usually running around on bicycles. There's usually a lot of activity regarding like swimming pools and playgrounds and those sorts of things. And that's just not what we're looking for. We want something a little quieter, a little more low key.
Yeah, the issue for us with KOAs, for example, quite often you're paying more for amenities that we're not using.
Right.
And we're typically not using those amenities.
Because they're usually pretty expensive. So, if we're not using any of those amenities, it doesn't make sense for us to pay for them.
They also often have pretty strict checkout times, like sort of early morning checkout hours, which is something that drives me crazy.
Sometimes they're like 10 or 11 a.m. And it's just like, why? Like, you're not really doing anything to the campground between people arriving.
Yeah, to me, it defeats the purpose of RV travel if you're treating it like a hotel room, and like they want you out of the space by 10 o'clock or 10:30. It's not like there's a maid crew coming in to clean the site.
All right, so on to number 14.
Fairgrounds camping. We have, believe it or not, camped at several fairgrounds around the United States. I can think of one in South Dakota. I can think of one recently in Wyoming. Pregnant pause. Last year, we had a great time, for example, camping in Laramie, Wyoming at the fairground.
Yes.
The upside of fairgrounds, they're usually pretty reasonably priced. And
they're usually pretty laid back.
And we love that. We actually love that about fairgrounds.
Yes.
There's sort of like less rules, less check-in and check-out procedure. But the amenities can be iffy. And something I've noticed is the smell. I'm sorry, they're fairgrounds. There's going to be livestock and cattle.
Smell.
You get that smell of the farm. You get some manure, and there's more flies and so forth.
Yes.
We've noticed that in fairgrounds. But in all fairness to fairgrounds, they're fairgrounds. They've got livestock there, so that's what they're there for.
That's why most people are going to the fairgrounds. So
it's really not a total knock on fairgrounds that they're ranked so low on this list. I would choose a fairground over a lot of other places. So I think this ranking is kind of low, personally, for me, because I can live with fairgrounds coming in higher. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, the number 13 favorite place for us to camp on our list.
Residential trailer parks. So these are parks where most of the people there are full-time, like they don't leave. They're there year-round. And again, a lot of these have good amenities, like they will have, a swimming pool, they'll have full hookups, that sort of thing. The problem can be sometimes finding somebody to help you get checked in or get to your site, because they don't get a lot of overnight people. And so when somebody comes in just for a couple of nights, it's almost like they don't know what to do with you. And sometimes that can just be frustrating.
We've had some wonderful experiences in residential trailer park type of places. I mean, I can think of a couple that are extremely well managed, and they've just set aside a few sites for overnight campers, whereas the rest are sort of full-time residents. Mm-hmm. But you really need to do your homework before going to some of these places to figure out what kind of trailer park you're getting into. Yeah. Now, some of them can be unbelievably nice, and I'm talking about the retirement destination type of residential parks.
And a lot of them in like Palm Springs. They have a lot of residential RV/trailer parks there, and they're actually really nice with like golf courses and tennis courts and swimming pools.
I mean, honestly, those can be spectacular.
Awesome. But again, sometimes the issue is they don't know what to do with people that are just there for a few nights, and so it can just sometimes cause confusion.
Right.
All right, so on to number 12. And this would be city and county parks. So in our travels, we have encountered many a city and county park. Sometimes they have been phenomenal and we've stayed for a week and loved every second. And sometimes it's like we stay for one night and we're just getting out of there as fast as we can. It really depends on where you are. Sometimes they're really well taken care of and really well maintained and they're in a nice little safe area. And sometimes they're really run down and there's sketchy people there and you feel unsafe. So I would say do your research, read reviews before you go, and make sure that you're getting one of the desirable ones versus the undesirable ones.
By definition, a city park is going to be close to the city. That can be good and bad.
Yes, 100%.
All right, number 11 on our list, Harvest Hosts and Boondockers welcome sites. Harvest Hosts is a private club that you join. You pay an annual membership fee, and then that sort of unlocks for you some different campsites at businesses like wineries, brew pubs, golf courses, farms, and they can actually be a lot of fun. There are some downsides because typically you're not supposed to stay at these places for more than a night or so you can't really set up camp for long.
It's just an overnight stopover.
Often there are restrictions on when you can arrive, and also they can have pretty strict departure times because you're on the property of a private business, and next morning when the start of the business day happens, they may want you off the property.
Right.
So there are some downsides. Typically there will be no hookups of any kind. You're going to be dry camping. But with all that said, some of these are in very scenic locations. For example, out in Wyoming, we had some spectacular camping experiences at some of the Harvest Host destinations there.
Yeah, we've had some really great ones. And sometimes the challenge with Harvest Host can also just be getting in touch with someone to arrange your stay. Some locations require that you call and book in like a week in advance. Some of them you can just show up. So it's kind of, you really have to look and see like what that specific location requires you do to reserve your spot or to show up. And like he said, sometimes you have to arrive before end of business. That might mean 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. for some of these people. Some of them even have really strict rules about running a generator, like they won't allow it or it's only within certain hours. So, it's different for every location. So you definitely have to do your research, do your homework to find out if it's the right fit for you. And a lot of them are very strict on the size of your RV, so you might find a great spot and then they say, oh, well, you can't be longer than 25 feet long. Well, that ends it for us,
And I will point out we are Harvest Host affiliates, and about every 18 months we receive a check for 95 cents to our bank account. So that's really nice. Moving on, number 10 on our list, football stadium tailgating camping. As you guys know, over the past year or so, we've done a lot of travel to different college campuses and camped on site to tailgate prior to the big Saturday football game. And this, again, runs the gamut from places that are not very RV friendly at all to places that are super RV friendly to the point of Mississippi State University, where you can park on campus right next to the stadium with water and electrical hookups.
Yeah. Now, of course, the issue with this is it's only during football season, and you do usually have to make your reservations or arrangements, a week or more in advance. Some locations more than that. So it's very limited, but if you get the opportunity to do it, it's usually a great experience because everybody that's there is there for the game. They're there to have a good time. Everybody's there to sit around and grill out and, socialize, and it's just a very unique experience.
Yeah, football tailgating gets a fun factor of 5 out of 5. Maybe I'm confusing things here, but I love the game day atmosphere, being on different campuses, and it is a fantastic way to enjoy your RV. You know, it's not always cheap, frankly.
Yeah.
And you're not always going to have any kind of hookups. In fact, you probably won't. But you will have other tailgaters, and just hanging out with other fans can be so much fun.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend you guys consider this as a way to use your RV in the future.
Yeah.
And in this category, I'm going to include and briefly mention racetrack camping. Yes, you can use your RV to camp at racetracks around the country. We have done so at Barber Motorsports Park in Birmingham, Alabama. And it's a similar type of atmosphere to tailgating at a football game, in that you're camping on the premises of a big event. And it's so much fun to wake up at the track, sometime to those beautiful sounds of a race car engine. And you're right where you want to be from the moment you open your eyes. And then it's so nice to be able to relax after the race has concluded, and you don't have to rush off the property. You can take your time. You can enjoy yourself for the rest of the day, and even spend the night, wake up the next morning, and roll out of town. All right, number 9 on our list.
RV resorts. So these are locations that really kind of step it up. They've got all the fancy amenities. You're usually going to have full hookups. You're going to have a very landscaped RV site. You're going to have a really nice fire pit or picnic table. A lot of times you have more privacy with regards to your neighbors. A lot of these RV resorts will have swimming pools and, mini golf and horseback riding and just all sorts of things. And a lot of them even have, planned activities that you can join in. One of our favorites, I would say, is Oasis RV Resort.
In Las Vegas.
In Las Vegas. We've spent a lot of time there. Blue Water Key in Key West. That's a great private RV resort.
Yeah, if you really wanted to introduce someone to RV travel for the first time, Blue Water Key in Key West is tough to beat.
Yeah.
Every different site has a private tiki hut and pier, and it's just a spectacular location. But again, with resorts, you're paying a lot more for amenities that you may or may not be using. I would also mention Blue Water Key is one of the most expensive campsites probably you'll find in North America. A lot of these RV resorts are quite expensive. Mm-hmm. They're not all quite private either, because there are some, for example, the one in Las Vegas. Yeah. Some of those sites are kind of stacked in together, not too many trees.
Kind of site you get.
Yeah. So, it's more of a resort experience than it is a true camping experience.
Yes. I would say it's the closest to like being in a hotel environment, sort of. Yeah.
All right, number 8 on our list, private family-owned campgrounds. And we kind of refer to these as mom and pop campgrounds that may be independently owned. Maybe they've been in the family for generations. They usually will be on the smaller side. Mm-hmm. They don't always have the most private campsites, because usually they're dealing with less land. Because again, it's a family-owned place. Right. They're not going to own something the size of Rhode Island. It's going to be maybe a smaller space. But quite often there's more character and charm in these locations. Right. There used to be one right outside Glacier National Park called San Suzette.
Yeah, I'm the San.
Oh, okay. So now tell us about the name.
Dad named it after us 3 kids when we were too little to have anything to say about it.
So what are the names?
Sandy, Susie, and Ed.
Wow, that's fun.
The battleship, the SSE.
I think they've changed the name of it.
They sold it. They retired.
But it was almost like being at a bed and breakfast type place. And in fact, they served breakfast there that was cooked by, this lady had been cooking breakfast there for all of her life, I guess.
Well, she was the owner of the RV park, and super sweet family. I think anytime we're looking for a place with full hookups, we usually look for these private, family independently owned campgrounds, just because we've had the best experiences there with regards to friendliness. They're usually very welcoming. Everything is usually in good shape because, they take pride in it because their name is on the business. And so you get a lot of attention, really.
They're usually a little more laid back with regard to checkout time, almost kind of like a little bit more understanding of the leisure side of RV travel. And we have had some great experiences talking to the owners of these campgrounds. I mean, for example, the Schlegels on Route 66.
Yes,
We've been married 56 years.
Wow, that's great.
And so we married young and have 4 children and
One
7
reason
grandkids.
we put in the RV park was so that I wouldn't have to leave my children, to go to work.
We take credit cards. We take personal checks. We've taken personal checks for 40 years, and we've lost one.
Wow.
We don't ask for any ID, nothing.
Wow.
So what does that say about RVers?
That says a lot about RVers. They're quality, top quality people.
One day, about a 2-year-old boy came in, and he looked in here and saw the chair there, and he said, Mom, they even got a electric chair.
Shamrock RV Park.
And I will point out a lot of these privately owned mom and pop campgrounds are affiliated with Good Sam. Like they will have a Good Sam membership and or ranking. So like if you're looking up Good Sam campgrounds, like Good Sam is not a chain.
Right.
In other words, Good Sam doesn't really organize and, operate all these different campgrounds.
Right. It's just like an organization.
It's an organization, and you can usually read Good Sam ratings and reviews of the various campgrounds so you kind of know what you're getting into.
Yes. All right. So number 7, and this is going to be slightly controversial.
Big shocker. Number 7 on our list of favorite places to enjoy our RV.
Walmart.
What? You people are crazy.
So Walmart is not a destination, of course, that you're going to spend more than a night at. But I will say Walmart comes in clutch in so many situations for us when we are traveling cross country. When you have long travel days, you're going to arrive late at night. You just need a place to sleep for the night that's safe. Walmart comes in clutch. We always joke that it's the most expensive campground we stay at because usually we park, we go inside, we spend $100 on whatever we need, and then we come back out, spend the night.
So we do spend money there.
We do spend money there, but it's for things that we would need anyway. But yeah, Walmart is always a great option. We're always very grateful when we find Walmart locations that welcome us. There are fewer these days than it used to be because unfortunately there are some people that have taken advantage of it out west especially and have set up camp there, and that's not what it's for. So just know it's a one-night stop only. But it's a great, safe option for a lot of us that are doing big push days.
And that's why in this category, we're also including Cracker Barrel and Cabela's.
Yeah.
We're talking about overnight parking at a private, business establishment.
Right.
But Walmart is always our go-to. I'll tell you, one reason I love it is because I really kind of enjoy towing our RV after sundown. And a lot of times we cover a lot of ground when we're traveling after 6 or 7 p.m., maybe all the way up to 10 or 11 at night. I know a lot of you do not travel that way, but we're more nocturnal. And so we're arriving at some of our destinations kind of late.
Like 11 p.m. or midnight sometimes.
It's like you can count on Walmart. Usually you can just pull into a discreet, faraway corner of the parking lot and nobody's going to mess with you. There's security. There's no check-in procedure. There's no check-out procedure. So nobody's rushing us off the property the next morning at 10 o'clock in the morning. So it has become kind of a go-to for us. And if we really think about the way we use our RV to travel and crisscross the United States, Walmart is pretty important.
Yes. So thank you, Walmart.
So, all right, number 6 on our list of favorite places to enjoy our RV, state park campgrounds. And we've done some videos recently about state parks. I like state parks because they're a little less rules-oriented than national parks. In fact, I might personally bump state parks up on this list, but this list represents a compromise between her views and my views. But state parks often have some really beautiful locations, and the pricing is generally pretty reasonable.
Yeah, and a lot of times state parks do offer full hookups or at least partial hookups with the dump station, so that's always nice. A lot of state parks also offer a lot of amenities, like for instance, the one here that's not far from where we live in Birmingham has a huge lake that you can swim in. They've got a wakeboard park. They've got horseback riding. They've got mountain bike trails. They've got a
bird sanctuary. And so there's just a lot of things to do while you're there. It's usually close to town, so you don't have to go far. If you want to go out to eat one night, it's not a big deal. If you need to run to the grocery store, you're usually not super far away from one, so convenient. And there are a lot of state parks that are located in incredibly scenic environments. And, I'm looking at Utah State Park System, or go down in Florida. Florida has some incredible state parks.
The problem with some of those really desirable locations is getting a reservation in those state parks can be next to impossible. I mean, Grayton Beach State Park in Florida is amazing, but if you're not reserving that campsite a year in advance, you're probably not going to get more than 2 or 3 nights in a campsite if you're lucky. So it requires a lot more planning. That's why I sort of bumped it down on the list, just because it's very difficult to just sort of like spur of the moment show up at a great state park.
At least for more than a day or two at a time.
Right.
All right, number 5 on our list, Army Corps of Engineers campgrounds. And these campgrounds are typically located near reservoirs or bodies of water. There are more of them, I would say, in the south, southeast than there are out west. We like them because quite often, not always, but quite often they're, well-maintained, well-designed places. They're always accessible to a nice body of water, and usually they're more laid back with regards to checkout time.
Usually they have late checkout times, like 2 p.m. or 4 p.m., which is great. Most of them have water and electric connections at every site. They're usually pretty cheap. I mean, like $20 to $25 a night for water and electric. It's pretty nice. And a lot of them have really nice bathhouses. So if you want to use their shower facilities, they have them. Now, not all of them are ones that you would want to use. So read your reviews before you go. But yeah, I think Corps of Engineer parks usually have really scenic views from the campsites as well. So it's kind of a hidden gem, I think a lot of people don't know about.
We've called Corps of Engineers parks one of the best kept secrets in RV travel because from the name Army Corps of Engineers, you might think you need a military affiliation to stay there. You do not. They're open to the public. Anyone can stay at these places. And, our only caveat would be read some reviews before you go, because we've recently stayed in one that needed some updating, shall we say.
Now, the campsite was great.
Yeah.
It was the bathhouse amenities were in very poor condition.
Yeah.
So we didn't need those, so it didn't really matter to us. But like I said, read your reviews and know what you're walking into before you get there.
And we've stayed at some with state-of-the-art, brand new bathhouses and bathrooms and all that stuff. So it just depends. All right, number 4 on our list of places to enjoy your RV, national park campgrounds. We're talking about campgrounds that are located specifically inside national parks. You guys all know how much we love the Grovant campground out in Grand Teton National Park. So of course, we have to include national park campgrounds.
Yeah.
It does include a wide variety of campgrounds, though. I'm saying this category because some might have hookups.
Yeah, which
most
is it's not the norm for them to have hookups. Most of them are dry camping with bathhouses. Some of them will have showers. Some of them don't. They'll just have sinks and toilets. So it really just depends. But what I think draws us to these campgrounds usually have a very woodsy feeling campsite. Like you usually, have a lot of trees, you usually have, a fire pit and a picnic table. And to me, when I'm in a national park campground, I feel like I'm really out there camping, like you sort of have that, I don't know, there's just something about being in a national park campground where you just really, it just feels different. I don't know.
Now, to me, the downside of the national park campgrounds is the rulesification of this country.
Lots of rules.
Lots of rules and regulations. Those of you with pets, they're pretty strict about, taking your dog out for a walk around the campground. I'm just saying there are a lot more rules you're going to deal with in the national parks. And for us as video creators, they've put down some very harsh rules about whether we can even create videos in some of these places. I know it sounds crazy. We could go in and take photographs all day long, but if we push the video button, then suddenly we're breaking some sort of law or regulation, and they might want to fine us. And yes, people have been fined for making videos promoting the national parks.
Yeah, and this
So
is
go
something
figure
that's
that
just happened in the last couple of years. So, that's why you haven't seen us creating new videos about national parks, because filling out all these forms, getting all these permits, providing, proof of liability insurance, all these things that they want you to do that you have to do months in advance. That just sort of sucks the spontaneity out of it for us and just makes it a liability to create a video about that destination.
Yeah, so if you enjoy Loloho videos about national parks, we enjoy making them, but the government doesn't want us making them at the moment. But hopefully those rules will get relaxed in the future.
Yeah.
All right, number 3 on our list of favorite places to enjoy your RV. This one is a big surprise.
Yeah, I think y'all are going to be shocked.
Driveway camping. We're talking about camping in a driveway. Now, I guess it could be your driveway, but we're really thinking about camping with friends and family in the driveways of friends and family.
Yes.
It's like bringing your own guest house.
Yes, everybody loves a house guest that brings their own house, right? You've got your own space, you've got your own bathroom, you've got your own bedroom, your own kitchen. If you want to get up and have a snack at 3 a.m., you're not going to bother anybody. If you want to go to bed early, it's not going to be a thing. It's a great way to visit friends and family without overstepping the boundaries.
Yeah, over the years, as we've traveled around the country, our RV has given us just a wonderful way to keep in touch with friends and family because of driveway camping.
Yeah.
Now, typically for driveway camping, you might have a power hookup like a 15 amp or 20 amp from the household power outlet. And of course, you would probably have some fresh water access. That's about it. I will point out, if you're in the South and you have access to a 15 or 20 amp power outlet, can look into getting a soft start for your air conditioner. Then you could actually run your air conditioner using a household outlet.
Yeah.
And I'll put a link beneath this video to a soft start that we recommend. And we tested it recently in a friend's driveway, and it worked just fine.
Yeah.
So driveway camping is fantastic. And
If you've got a friend or neighbor willing to let you park your RV in their driveway for a weekend, I say do it, because we've had so much fun doing that over the years. At his sister's house when she lived in Seattle, our close friends in Utah, our other close friends in Florida, our other friends in the Washington, Portland area. So we've done it a lot of different places, and we've always had a good time.
All right, number 2 on our list of our favorite places to enjoy your RV, dispersed camping. And we're talking about camping typically on Bureau of Land Management land, just out there on your own, far away from anybody or anything else.
Yeah.
Now, quite often when you are dispersed camping, you do have some proximity to other campers. And I'm thinking, for example, Nomad View in South Dakota, or maybe camping on federal land outside Goblin Valley State Park in Utah.
Or the Alabama Hills.
The Alabama Hills in California is fantastic. I love the feeling of dispersed camping because you're kind of using your RV as intended. You're getting out there in nature.
You're on your own.
You're on your own. You're completely self-contained. No water, power, or sewer hookups. But it's a thrilling experience, actually.
Yeah. It's no designated campsite. You don't have a fire pit. You don't have a picnic table. There's no little assigned number to your site. It's just wherever you can find your spot, you set up camp and enjoy nature. And it's very freeing. It's also free to do so.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
I love the price.
It's friendly to the budget. So it's hard to beat in that regard.
But these are really the signature postcard RV travel memories that you're going to have in terms of, you're going to look back and say, wow, we were in this spectacular destination and we were out there by ourselves living the life. You feel like king of the world when you are self-contained like that, off the grid. Dispersed camping is kind of like dating a mentally ill supermodel. When it's good, it's the best. However, happiness is not always guaranteed. Sometimes these sites are hard to locate. Quite often, they're difficult to access because the roads getting in and out of them might not be very good or
they may not be maintained at all.
Right.
So you really have to read reviews and see what the current conditions of those roads are, because sometimes you could find yourself in a pickle.
And ironically, sometimes dispersed camping places can get pretty crowded.
Yeah.
I mean, like you think you're going to be out by yourself, but you could be out there by yourself with 24 other RVs, which is fine, but it's not maybe exactly what you imagined.
May not have a lot of room for 24 RVs. So yeah, it can be hit or miss.
All right, moving on. Drum roll, please. The number one favorite place on our list to enjoy your RV.
National Forest and BLM campgrounds. So these are specific campgrounds within national forests and on BLM land that you reserve. You do pay for them. They're usually pretty cheap, like anywhere from $10 to $20 a night usually. They usually have a fire pit and a picnic table. There usually is a campground host, which can be very helpful depending on where you are, because they usually have great information regarding things to do in the area, hikes nearby that they recommend, things like that. It's usually in a very scenic location.
So we kind of rank this number one because it's a perfect compromise in a way of you do have nature and privacy, and quite often these national forests are just spectacular scenic parts of our country. Mm-hmm. You also have just a little bit of organization. They're not going to be difficult so much to access and get out of. They're reasonably priced. And, we've had just some fantastic experiences in national forest campgrounds. Yeah. There are fewer BLM campgrounds, but they're out there. For example, in Utah, there are a bunch that are really nice. The national forest campgrounds, for example, in Wyoming are fantastic. We've had so many wonderful experiences in there and in Montana, Colorado.
A lot of times they will have vault toilets so that you can sort of get by with your black tank a little longer if you go use the vault toilets. Sometimes they do have water spigots so you can refill water jugs, that sort of thing. So they do have some, creature comforts. The other thing about these campsites is they're usually, like I said, pretty scenic, and they're usually pretty big. Like you usually have a pretty good little space around your RV. So you don't feel like you're crowded up next to the next person. They're usually near some really great hiking and that sort of thing, bike trails, things like that. So very nature-centric with a little bit of creature comfort.
Yeah,
like you said.
It's like they're managed, but they're not so rules-centric that you feel like you can't relax and have fun. You can relax and enjoy. They're usually a little more laid back on checkout time and check-in time. So that's why they earned the number one ranking for favorite places to enjoy your RV. Of course, it was very difficult to sort through, almost 20 different places where you can camp. So we want to hear from you guys. What have we missed? Believe it or not, this is not a comprehensive list. Yeah. I know that some of you use some different services. For example, Thousand Trails, some of the membership clubs, Hip Camp. There are certain apps. We haven't used that stuff too much. We also haven't stayed at military parks because we're not eligible for military parks.
Yeah. So I know that a lot of those are in really cool places.
So what have we missed? Chime in and post a comment.
And let us know what your number one is. What is your absolute favorite? So in the comments down below, let us know what's your number one choice. If you had to pick out of all of them and you could only pick one, what would you choose?
Thus wraps up episode 1 of Rolling Conversations, our new vodcast. How you like that?
Yeah.
Let us know what you thought about this video style. We're trying to come up with something we can produce videos more often, give you guys more content in a more relaxed format.
Just talk and
Produce more
enjoy
content.
and produce more content. So,
And if you have any topic ideas that you would like to see us discuss here on Rolling Conversations, chime in, post a comment, let us know. This has been yet another episode of Long Long Honeymoon, the longest running RV themed show on the interwebs.
yeah, can you believe we're in year 18?
Indeed, I can. I feel all 18 of those years.
Sad.
No, it's been a good ride.
Yes.
And the ride is just beginning.
That's right. All right. If you enjoyed this video, please click the little thumbs up button down below. Make sure you're subscribed. Click the bell icon if you want to be notified when we post a new video so you don't miss any. Share it with your friends and family. You guys spreading the word about us is always helpful. We appreciate it so much. And until next time, what do we say? Aloha.
Long, long honeymoon. We let the talk flow. Rolling conversation.